In this video, I'm going to talk about CIS18A Lab 2 Part D. In this particular exercise, we will create a Java program that uses relational and arithmetic operators, especially compound assignment operator. So what we want to do is we want to follow the criteria as stated and build the program upon it. To write my program, I use Notepad as a text editor to create the program. At the beginning of my program, I simply include the program information and the criteria. For the class, I use REL as the class name, so I have to remember to save the same name for my Java file. In the main function, I declare two variables, int myvar1 and myvar2. They both hold integers, so the data type here is int. Now in the first criteria, it states that myvar1 is greater and equal to 12. Now if you use the relational operator here, you will find that it will throw an error. You simply have to assign a value first before you can relate that variable to, other objects. So what you would do is you would first need to assign myvar1. So what we want to do is pick a number that is greater or equal to 12. So here I would choose 15, and you can choose a different number as long as it's greater or equal to 12. Then next I would go ahead and print out that value by doing a system out print line. And in the string, I want to state that this is for myvar1. So myvar1 is, and I'm going to bring down the value for the first variable. Then next, I would assign 14 to myvar2 because in the requirement of the exercise, it asks us to assign 14 to myvar2. Then I will repeat the process by print out what that value is for myvar2. So here I have a string stating that myvar2 is, and I would use a plus sign to include the value from the assignment in myvar2. Then next I would include the statement, if statement, that would say that if myvar1 is less than myvar2, and in Java, when you write the if statement, what you're doing is you stating the condition, and the compiler will check that condition to make sure that it's true, so that way we can execute the next line. So the next line would only execute if that condition is validated as true. So in the if statement, we want to enclose the condition inside the parentheses. And after the condition is stated, we would open another curly brace and we would have additional statements following. So here I only have one statement, but in other programs, you can include additional statements inside under your if condition. So here the expression I have is in the parentheses, and then the statement is following for that expression. And I simply just want to print out that it is less than, myvar1 is less than myvar2 for that if statement. Then I will update myvar1 using the compound assignment operator, where we would take var1 and multiply it by 2. So itself is multiplying by 2, so therefore we can use the asterisk and the equal sign there. Then I would have another condition using the if statement. So in this next condition, we want to say that if myvar1 is greater than equal to myvar2, then it's going to print out that it is greater and equal to. Okay, so for this condition, it would check to see if this is correct after the update, and if it is true, then it's going to print the statement. Then after that, we want to have a third if statement, and our condition is that myvar1 is not equal to myvar2. So when it goes to this line, it's going to see if myvar1 value is not the same as myvar2. Okay. If it's not the same, then it's going to display in text that my var1 is not my var2. Okay, and how we use the exclamation here is going to be not equal to. Okay, so in your if statement, make sure that you have your condition in the parentheses or your expression in the parentheses. Then you would open another curly brace, and then after that you can include your statement. And by practice, we want to indent the block after the if statement, the conditional statement. Okay, and then we would close out the curly braces accordingly to finish out our program. Next, we are going to save our program. So File, Save As. And here I want to make sure I choose all file, and I'm going to name it the same class name. So rel.java. Click Save. And after I had saved my program, I can bring up my command line, or in Microsoft Windows, that will be command prompt. And I'm going to go ahead and change directory to the location of my file, which is on desktop. And I want, from that directory, I want to be able to compile the file. So javac rel.java. Once it's compiled successfully, what we can do is we can run the program by using the Java command. So as you can see here that we had assigned 15 to my var1 and it's printed that out. So we also instructed to print out my var2 is 14. And we updated the variable value. So we updated my var1 and then we had it compared. So when it compared, it showed that my var1 is greater or equal to my var2. So originally it was greater, and then as we updated, as you can see in the code here, originally we had it given it 15 for my var1 and 14 for my var2. Then we would follow through and we would check the condition. Since 15 is greater than 14, it skips this statement because it was not true. This condition was not true. So it skips this line. Then it's going to move on and it's going to update my var1. So it's going to take 15 and it's going to multiply it by 2. So at this point, my var1 is 30. Then we would again check the condition. So if my var1 is greater and equal to my var2, it would print out this statement. Because 30 is greater than 14, therefore that validates as true. So this statement was printed. Then we check again, we have another condition added, so we wanted to check to see if my var1 is not the same as my var2. Since 30 is not the same as 14, that would check true for the condition, and therefore it would print my var1 is not my var2. So in this program, as we apply the if conditions, and again, if conditions would check to see if the criteria is true first. If it is, then it's going to execute, the system, the computer is going to execute the next line, the next statement, only if that condition is true. Okay, so when we came across this condition, it skips this line entirely because the condition was not true. 15 is not less than 14. So as you can see, we output 15 for var1, my var1, 14 for my var2. As we go through and stated the conditions, it shows that my var1 is greater. or equal to my var2, and my var1 is not my var2.